Executive Suite with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. Later on in the show, we're going to hear from a storied name in Rhode Island business history, Bradford Soap Works. They've been around now more than, I believe, 140 years. They've been in the state and in a mill in West Warwick for much of that time. We're going to talk about some executive changes they're having there and how they've survived so long making soaps, maybe soaps that are in your bathroom right now that you're going to use tonight when you go to bed. But first, I'm very pleased to be joined by Steve Lewinstein. He is the sort of the mayor of Wayland Square, you could almost say. You own so much of it over there and are so tied in with that. Steve, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
So let's start off, as I said, you're synonymous with that area over there. You actually, you told me before the show, you got into real estate because Johnny Unitas, the football player, was involved. And when you first started in this whole business, tell that story.
Well, what happened was after I came out of law school, and I was about to start, I was actually had an appointment with the Supreme Court to serve with Judge Paolino as his law clerk. And I had found out about a diner that was being foreclosed on. And then shortly thereafter, I went to a bar mitzvah and I met a fellow who was in the real estate business, and he's actually a broker. And he said, Steve, he said, as a lawyer, you'll spend everything you make, but if you really want to enjoy the good life, he said, he puts his arm around me and like just out of the graduate, instead of plastics, he says real estate. So I said, Andy, I tell him about this foreclosure sale. And he said, oh, foreclosures are great. He says, you really ought to look into that. Yeah. And I did, and then I showed up at the sale with basically $1,000 of the $1,700 I had to my name. The other $700 was a deposit on a bedroom set that we were going to buy for our apartment. And I bid, and there were about 30 people there, and nobody else bid anything. And I got really scared, petrified. And so after they put a purchase and sales agreement in front of me, which I signed with a shaking hand, I went running back to the judge that I was clerking for, and I said I did this horrible thing, and I don't want to go home, and afraid to tell my wife, and he said, well, calm down. And he came out with me, took a look at the real estate, and he said, I think you have a nice piece of real estate here, and he says, now you have to stop marketing it. And so I did, and was not getting very much success. Most people are coming out, didn't really want to do anything to do with a diner. They were interested in the land, but not the diner. And so this went on for, probably 6 months. And then I finally got a call from a fellow in Uxbridge, Mass. And he said, you familiar with Haven Brothers? And I said, well, yeah, actually, I went there my first date with my wife. And so he, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So he said, I'd like to buy a diner, and he offered me a very nice sum of money, and I said, the diner's yours. He took the diner, but the diner had a basement, and so he left this big hole in the ground. And I get a call from the police department and in South Attleboro, and they said, there's a hole in the ground and some kids are playing in it, and he said, you've got to fill this. So I got a hold of a landfill company, and I told them, here's my phone number in case you need me. And the next thing I know, I'm getting a call from a fellow who says, my name is Johnny Unitas. And I didn't believe it. I mean, I said, no, who is this really? And he said, no, Johnny Unitas. I'm here with another player who was playing with the Vikings, and my lawyer from Baltimore, and a business partner from Philadelphia. And we're starting a chain of restaurants called Quarterback East, and we'd like to buy this land. And he made me an offer, and it was an incredible offer. But, I learned in law school, you never take the first offer, right? So I called the judge. I put him on hold, but my hand was shaking so much I had to actually hold my hand with the other hand so I didn't cut him off. And I called the judge, and I said, Judge, I learned in law school you don't take the first offer, but I got Johnny Unitas on the line, and he's made me this offer, and, and I told him what it was. And he said, "Are you crazy?" He says, "Not only do you accept it," he says, "don't let him leave." So I called my law school classmate and I said, "Joe, I don't have any money to pay you, but I need to get a purchase and sales contract done. We've got to go to South Attleboro, and I can't pay you, but if you go to Herman Sporting Goods and get a couple of footballs, I can get you Johnny Unitas' autograph."
Yeah, and that works.
And it worked.
That's so
that
funny.
was how we.
And the bug stuck with you, obviously, in this world of real estate and developing and investing. Talking about Wayland Square, you own. Some people estimate you own about 80% of the buildings in that area in the east side of Providence at this point. One example, people, younger folks might not realize, like myself, that the Wayland Square Starbucks, which is so popular, was an empty lot for decades, and then you got Starbucks to come build that. What do you think is unique about the Wayland Square neighborhood that's made it so appealing for you and that's made it work?
I think it's a village. I think it's a combination of really unique boutique retail stores, coupled with some national stores that I brought in, and most recent being West Elm, and great apartment buildings and professional buildings. So it's sort of like a little city in and of itself. And it hasn't had really, we're trying to now obviously get it more recognition than it's had in the past. But right now, I think it's a great place to shop, to live, and to dine.
And you've
great restaurants.
You've just opened. Yes, you've just opened, you brought in West Elm Furniture. Pasta Beach recently opened. How are they doing so far?
Doing very well.
Yeah,
very well.
You're pleased.
I think. People call me and say, how do I get into Pasta Beach? I had to wait 30 minutes, 40 minutes. That's good and bad, but hopefully I think that will die down a little bit but a lot of people are obviously coming to try it.
Yeah.
But the pasta is great, and the pizzas are incredible, and everything is basically like if you ate in Italy, and you were in Naples, and you wanted to eat in an Italian restaurant. That's pretty much what it's like. The oven was brought in from Italy. Even the chefs came from Italy. So everything is really, really legitimate.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Steve about his real estate career in Wayland Square, other places, and the fact that he is a co-owner of the Boston Celtics. Stay with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and we are talking right now with Steve Lewinstein. He is the basically, I'd say almost like the mayor of Wayland Square. He owns so many of the buildings over there and has been involved in development for many, many years. Wealth of knowledge and experience, and really came up from you weren't given a $14 million loan from your father like some people in real estate. You really had to figure it out yourself. I'm curious how you view, so you've been doing this a long time. You've watched the growth of digital and shopping habits changing and all of that. Do you ever worry owning all this brick and mortar retail in a village like Wayland Square, and I know many other places where you're involved, that you're, the horse and buggy salesman as the Model Ts start coming off the line? What do you think is going to be the future for brick and mortar retail?
Well, I worry all the time because we have seen this whole thing evolve, and at first the internet came out, and people were, retailers were scared to death. Then retailers started to embrace the internet, and so pretty soon, all the retailers basically had, websites and the ability to shop on the internet, and so I think that from a retail point of view, I mean, obviously multifamily and office is a whole different world, but from a retail point of view, it's a real challenge, and I think that from my point of view, I'm looking to do things that are unique, that typically, you would not find people, going to the internet for, and so I think that if you focus on those kind of boutique stores that the internet is not going to really be able to offer the general public. I think that you can still be very successful in the future. But I think that in a large part of the sort of the boxy retail type thing, that these stores are going to be kind of like showrooms, and people are going to go to the stores, they're going to see what's out there, and then they'll probably order it off the internet. And that's a problem.
How about development in Providence, commercial real estate development? I've covered it a number of years now. You constantly hear how high the commercial real estate tax is, how difficult it is to build when rents are lower than Boston, but the labor and costs are very similar. What's your view on that? How much is the math of development in Providence a little bit upside down, or do you not see it that way?
I'm a big believer that the consumer really kind of runs the show, so to speak, and so therefore it starts with disposable income, and that there's no question that the disposable income in Providence, let's say compared to Boston, is much less, and so there's less money to spend, and therefore rents have to be lower. But unfortunately, the construction costs don't, change with what city you're in. So as a result, we find that the margins are smaller in Providence, and also the growth factor. So we've just never really had the kind of growth that that some of these other communities have had. And a lot of it has been particularly in the office sector, a musical chairs kind of a thing. I think that residential has done pretty well, and on the retail side, I think that we're seeing a lot more national tenants come into Providence now because of necessity, because they can afford to pay the higher rents. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate because for me, what I try to do is blend national tenants and local boutique retail tenants. So whether it be Providence or like in Newport, for example, where I just brought in Sephora drives traffic. They bring a lot of traffic in, and then the local tenants, there's a tenant there called Only Rhode Island, there's the general store, they pick up on that traffic, and so as a result, so you have to get the traffic. And I think that West Elm, for example, draws for 30 miles away. So I think they'll bring a lot of traffic into Wayland Square. And a lot of people, I've had a lot of calls from people who have said, who live in, even went as far away as Wellesley, and they said, I'm going to shop in Wayland Square as opposed to going to Brookline because of the traffic and the congestion, and it's a lot easier for me. But I think that what Providence can do is if they, bring in the right mix of tenants, can draw from southern Massachusetts and certainly South Kingston, North Kingston, and into the southern part of the state. And if they make it attractive enough, like I've tried to do with Wayland Square, I'm hopeful that, you can draw further than Providence. And so that will make Providence a lot more vibrant.
I mentioned, and we have to talk about it, you are a co-owner of the Boston Celtics. That is going to be very cool to a lot of people watching today. How'd you get involved with that?
Well, it actually started, I always had an interest in a big sports fan, but I always had an interest in owning part of a sports team. And I saw where actually the Pittsburgh Penguins hockey team had gone into bankruptcy, and Mario Lemieux was trying to buy the team. And I knew the lawyer who was representing Mario, and I called him, and pretty soon I was involved with the group that was trying to buy the Penguins. And it didn't work out in the end, but the company that was putting it all together for Mario Lemieux knew the company that was putting the Celtics deal together for Wick Rausbeck, and basically referred me to them. And I got to know Wick, and the rest of it was kind of history. We have a really good group of owners there, and we're going to have a good season.
I was just going to ask, you getting excited for the 2017 season?
Very excited about it. I think that the addition of Al Horford is a huge plus, and I think we have a lot to build on from last year. And we have a great coach in Brad Stevens.
So only about 30 seconds left, Steve, but I have to ask, you've been doing this at a long time, you've been very successful, but you're still doing it, you're still investing, you're still developing. What keeps you going in this business?
My wife says the thrill of the kill.
For a soft-spoken man, that's funny to hear.
It's not really about, I think, money anymore. I think it's about just still enjoying what I do, and giving back, trying to give back to the communities that have been good to me, and by building things that hopefully people appreciate, and by creating tenant mixes that are appreciated, that the communities will benefit by them, and that's probably pretty much what it's all about today.
A good reason to do it. Steve Lewinstein, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for watching. Stick with us though, because coming up next we're going to talk to the new executive team, one who's moved around a little bit at Bradford Soapworks. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi, and now I'm being joined by two executives with a company that's been in Rhode Island a long time, Bradford Soapworks. But they have some new management, and so we're going to talk today about that transition as well as the company's history. And I'm pleased to welcome Stu Benton. He's the new since May 2016,
That's
I believe,
correct.
right? President and CEO of Bradford Soapworks. And John Howland, you've worked there, I think, since 1978.
I have.
Is that right? And
Yes, it
now
is.
the executive chairman after many years in charge. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thanks
you.
for having us.
So, Stu, I'll start with you. Brad, you see, I was saying to them before we went on, it never smelled better on Executive Suite than with all these soaps in front of us here. All kinds of different soaps, big names too that you guys do. There's no Bradford soap that you'd buy in the store. You're making the soaps we buy under other names, right?
That's correct. We're developing the IP, we're coming up with the neat formulas, and then we're selling it to brand builders and channel builders. So great, names you hear all of that, Johnson & Johnson, Tom's of Maine, all those soaps come right here from Rhode Island.
Now people are going to wonder, does that mean all the soaps are actually just the same and you're just getting charged for the label?
I get that question all the time.
I'm sure
Everybody says, is the bar soap the same? It's not. We have over 50 proprietary bases. We have the ability to saponify our own noodles, and then we press them. So everything is completely different.
Say it's what is
Saponification.
What is that?
So it's taking oils, whether they be palm, coconut, tallow, putting some caustic in them, creating a chemical reaction, and that liquid turns into what we call a soap noodle. So if you can envision, pasta noodles, that's what it looks like. And then you combine some other fragrances and a whole bunch of other stuff, and you can press it into a bar of soap.
And as I mentioned before, company's nearly 150 years old. The name actually comes from the original founders were from Bradford, England, and named it after Bradford, hence Bradford Soaps. You're in the Valley Queen Mill there in West Warwick. Give us a sense, how big is your operation there today? How many people? How much soap?
So we employ about 250 employees in Bradford, Rhode Island. We also have a facility in Columbus, Indiana, with about another 100 employees. We have 4 people in California, and we have another 400 in Mexicali, Mexico. And in Mexico, we're making shower poofs. So those are you go in the shower and you use a little liquid soap, and that's how what we do in Mexico. So about 250 employees and a great campus right on the river.
And how much soap do you do a year? Do you know?
We could do over about 300 million bars of soap in Rhode Island.
Wow, that's all. It must smell. Does it smell good, or is it a little too much at the
No,
factory?
it smells great. And, sometimes you get people walking around and you go home and you take out some paper from your briefcase and it smells like soap.
It smells great. Your wives must love it. John, this has been a family-owned company for a long time. Your family, the Howlands, I believe, involved since the 1940s?
Yes, my father was the first member of our family to join the company. So the company started by 2 guys from Bradford, England, hence the name Bradford Soapworks. Somebody opened a competing company under the same name, and they had not registered the name Bradford Soapworks, so they reopened under the original Bradford Soapworks. So there's the name. The company changed hands several times, moved several times, and by the 1930s was located in the Valley Queen Mill, making industrial soap to clean cotton and wool. And my dad joined in 1946. Kind of pivoted the company to first make some specialty finishing products for the textile industry, like flame retardants. And then the textile industry was moving south. You can't move a granite mill building, so he made the wise decision to upgrade the soap making and add a downstream bar soap capability. So that's how we got into bar soap. And we've ridden that wave for 50 years now.
How have you made, we've seen so many, we talk about in this show a lot, so many manufacturers who did leave Rhode Island or massively shrank what they do or whatever. You guys still have a sizable operation down there. What's been the core of allowing that to continue profitably in Rhode Island?
Well, the core is great people and a commitment to continually reinvent ourselves and stay innovative and creative. So at one point, we were basically a contract manufacturer, and our customers owned all the IP. And then we became a custom manufacturer where we were starting to develop or co-develop with our customers the IP. And now we're really a strategic partner using trend research and a lot of market knowledge to fully develop products, align them with our customers' strategy so our customers can grow their business. So we have really redefine what it means to be a manufacturer.
People might remember in 2004 there was some differences with the union and the management, and there was talk of leaving. In the end, there was people came together and you guys stayed. How would you describe relations with the employees in the years since then?
Terrific, terrific. Without our employees, and we have generations, we have grandparents, parents, brothers and sisters working at the company, and so we have a terrific relationship with our employees. And for somebody who wants to work in a manufacturing environment, for somebody who wants to build a real product that people can relate to, like we see here, for people that take pride in seeing the fruits of their labor out on the shelves in the mall or in the supermarket, I think it's a great place to work.
Stu, how competitive is the world of soap? Are there a ton of big factories churning out soaps for the big soap sellers, the front-facing sellers? Is it?
Sure, it's a competitive environment because it's a cost competitive environment. But if you look at the competitive set out there, you can carve it into two worlds. One is old line soap, so your Ivories, your old Irish Springs, your Coast Guard Safeboy. Those are being pushed out by really two large global factories, and they're doing it very fast. And,
just two?
Two,
wow.
Basically two. And they do it at a very low cost, but there's no creativity to it. It's old formulas, and really that market is declining. There's a handful of companies in North America, predominantly, that play in the specialty market. We're the largest. We probably have 80% of the market space, and that's really goes back to our innovation. You know, we spend a lot of time developing formulas. I like to call us a company of firsts. We do a lot of things first. So, you know. You can see some of it here. We made the first bar soap for Amway when they were just starting out. That was over 40 years ago. They're still making that soap. We've made soap out of sea algae. We have an SPF 15 soap that we've made. So we were the first manufacturer to be organically certified in soap making, and we're the first company to make natural soap and make a natural preservative. So all of that creativity kind of sets us apart from those competitors.
John, you've been at this quite a number of years. We hear a lot from Rhode Island leaders about they want more manufacturing, they want companies like yours to grow and new ones to come in. Any top of mind advice to Rhode Island leaders on what they should be doing if they want to continue to see economic development, economic growth?
Well, I think the old adage, a bird in the hand, paying a little more attention to the companies that are here would pay great dividends, I think. Unfortunately, in Rhode Island, we've had a tendency to try to hit the home run, and unfortunately, that hasn't been successful, and the repercussions of that not being successful have dragged down attempts at economic development. So, but my first and foremost and strongest message to the leadership in the state is pay attention to the companies that are here. It's a lot easier to keep a company if you care about it and if you understand what its needs are than it is to grab a company from some other state that's desperately trying to keep it anyway.
Stu, we only have about 30 seconds left. You've just taken over as the top guy, the CEO. What are you excited about? What are you focusing on as you take over and look ahead?
Sure. You know, I'm excited about what we bring to the table, but most importantly, I'm trying to focus on creating and reinvigorating the culture. I think that's all. We've had a great culture, but it's about getting everybody to understand what it is and what we're trying to do so that we can get everybody in the boat rowing in the same direction. So that's where I tend to spend most of my time in the short term here.
All right, Stuart Benton, John Howland, thank you so much for joining me from Bradford Soapworks. Again, as you can see, you might be using their soaps now. You just don't know it, being made right over the line in West Warwick, that big, beautiful mill, Valley Queen Mill. I think it's on the National Register, right? It's yes, such a famous place. So very cool. Again, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me, and thank you for joining us. If you missed any of the show, including our interview on the first half with Steve Lewinstein, you can see all of that on our website, WPRI.com. We'll see you back here next week.